Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. My name is Andrew McGinley. I'm the Vice President for External Affairs here at the Committee of 70, and I'm really pleased to be joined today by Allan Domb, former member of Philadelphia City Council, current member of the Committee of 70's board, and most importantly for our conversation today, a member of the Philadelphia Tax Reform Commission. Tax Reform Commission will be the topic of our discussion. We'd love to hear from the councilman about the work that the tax reform has done and will be doing, and how it impacts the city budget, and sort of how all these different pieces work together between the Tax Reform Commission, the mayor's proposal, and Philadelphia City Council. So we have the perfect expert for that discussion today. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
So let's just get started. Can you tell us what the Tax Reform Commission is and who's on it? Let's start with the basics.
So it was really formed by Council President Johnson with the support of Mayor Parker, and it's a 15-person commission. Many people from the city of Philadelphia, including the diverse chambers, have appointees on the commission. 15 really good people that met 15 to 20 different types of meetings or even more to really try to help understand and create a comprehensive type analysis of Philadelphia's tax structure and including the state taxes and providing recommendations on reforms to make it more inclusive, equitable, and growth oriented, with the goal to build the base of the economy. And that was really the main function.
Wonderful.
I would say the role.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's okay. The role of the tax commission, I'd say, was to, and why I wanted to get involved with it is because when I was on council, I realized there's two ways we can go. We can continue raising the taxes on the existing population, or we can grow the base. And I was always a supporter and a fan of growing the base and keeping businesses here and growing them. I was appointed by the city controller, Christy Brady, who's doing a great job. And I wanted to get, when I was on council, I did have legislation to lower the net income and lower the wage taxes. It's like 3, 4 years ago. We slightly lowered the net income of the borough, but did not really lower the wage that much. So I really wanted to get back involved, and under the leadership of the tax commission, I felt it was a good venue.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So personally, you talked a little bit about building the base. Can you describe for our audience a little bit more about like what that looks like when you say build the base?
Okay, so Philadelphia, here's our problem. Philadelphia, once COVID hit, which really hit us hard, okay, we lost 50,000 residents between 2020 and 2023. It's a lot of population, 50,000. Largest drop we've seen since the 1970s because we were growing for a while. And it's a combination of COVID, but also a combination of, when you think about it, our tax structure and why people are, we're not staying in the city. And Philadelphia, unfortunately, has the slowest growth rate of any large U.S. city in the country, with a 1.2% annual average growth. 1.2%. Our job growth, by the way, since 1970 is down 20%. Down 20% compared to the suburbs that are up 100 to 183%. So city down 20%, suburbs up 100 to 100. Just look at Conshohocken, Valley Forge, Devon, Malvern, King of Prussia. Booming, booming. City, not so much. Here's another problem, Andrew.
Mhm.
Our office market. We have 43 million plus square feet of office space in the city. As we sit here today, 10.2 million of that space is vacant, double the footage of what it was in 2019. Work from home, lack of demand for the space. It's a real issue. But here's the problem. Besides that, there's a couple of problems. The vacancy rate's at 23.5%. Next 2 years, it's going to continue to grow negatively, adding 1.2 million negative absorption to our vacancy. Of the 548 leases signed last year, 98 to 99% of those leases took less space in the future than they had today. So your 10,000 square foot user is now using 5,000. 8 is using 4. 7 is using 4. They're all trading down, which puts more space into the market.
Yeah.
The sad part, Andrew, 548 leases. Take a guess how many of those leases were from out of town people, not people in the city playing what I call musical chairs.
Oh, 25%
8.
total or
1.8,
8%?
8 total, like 1.3,
Wow.
1.4. Maybe it's 1.5 actually. That's pretty sad when you think about it. Only 8 leases came out of the city, and that tells me we're not in demand. And so the tax
Mhm.
commission's goal is how do we make our city in demand? The other facts we should know about is that Philadelphians in general earn less uh, income than those in other major cities. We have lower average income. We have 46% of the people who live in Philadelphia commute to a job out of the city every day. That's a staggering.
Wow.
46% of our residents leave to go outside the city for a job. But here's the killer. When you combine local and state business taxes together, New York City wins the award at 15%. Philadelphia is at 13.7. We were at 14.2 thanks to the governor. He's getting the state taxes lowered. We're at 13.7. But Andrew, the third highest in the country is California at 8.8. Boston and
Oh,
Chicago are
wow.
7. We're 13.7. Think about that. And Atlanta's 4. Forget Texas and Florida is 0. So if you're a company and you want to stay here or expand here, your accountant's saying to you, hey, Alan, you can save money by moving over the city line border. And if you drive down City Line Avenue, the tax ratables are 80% on this on the Bala Cynwyd side compared to 20% on the Philadelphia side. It's really a crusher.
Man,
So the tax reform
that is.
commission's proposal was to combat those challenges.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about sort of the initial recommendations that the commission's published so far, um, with all that context of like why we needed to look at this problem? What were some of the solutions that the commission's proposed thus far?
So look, our goal is to develop a cure, not a band-aid.
Mhm.
And the cure is to create demand. We create demand, we create good paying, family sustaining jobs, we will fix a lot of the issues. So we said we gave 3 proposals basically. The one that I like the best, I'll share with you, is that we take the net income of the BERT tax, which is 5.81 roughly, and we
Okay,
take it to 0 over a 10-year period. You can't do it right away, over 10 years. And we take
right.
the wage tax, which are like in the 3.7 change rate right now. We take them down to 2.95 over 10 to 15 years. Now, eConsult did a report a while ago when I was on council that showed if those two things occurred, we'd be seeing between 40 and 80,000 family sustaining jobs created. One of some of the biggest growth the city would have. And when you think about it, of the top 20 employers in our city, 3 are private sector. Comcast, thank God they're here. Thank God. And American Airlines, because of the airport, and a security guard service. I mean, that's kind of pathetic considering Minneapolis has 14 corporate headquarters. I mean, so we need to
Yeah,
create.
that's really helpful. So the commission issued its initial report or initial recommendations, right, well timed before Mayor Parker's budget address. Um, So what happens next? So the mayor gave her budget address. We know that council moves into negotiations and discussions. How does the work of the commission impact that process?
So the commission is going to probably have to lobby certain council members or all of council to see if we can really improve on what the mayor's proposal was, because I think the mayor took the right step in the right direction. We just need to do more of it. So look, I
Okay.
think the most important thing for us, a good family sustaining job is the best way out of poverty for everybody. When you have
Absolutely.
offices, think about this. When you have roughly 76.5% of your offices occupied and 23.5 vacant, that means there's less door people, less mechanical people, and less janitors. Think about it. It's a layoff across the board. Everyone
Yeah.
suffers. You have to make the
So
city attractive.
absolutely. So can we get a little bit more specific on the areas where so you mentioned, Mayor Parker took some important right steps in the right direction, but you'd like to see things go further. Can you get a little bit more specific about what you'd like to see council consider while they're trying to enact a budget?
Yeah, so I would say this. The mayor's proposal basically didn't provide enough reduction in the net income and the wage taxes.
Okay.
The reductions were kind of minor. We'd like to see a more serious investment. That's part of this problem. If you view this as an investment in creating good paying jobs, you'll invest the money. If we
Mhm.
just count the growth the city's had over the last 15 years, which has averaged more than 1.2%, if we just take the 1.2% of growth, more than pays for any of the um, investments that I've been discussing, which is reduce net income to zero over 10 years and take wage down to 2.95. But think about this. You're a small business owner. You're an entrepreneur in the neighborhood. And your accountant says to you, hey, Andrew, move over to Ballackinwood. You'll save 5.81% right away.
Right. For a small
And,
business, that's big savings. And for a big business, that's even bigger savings.
and look, by the way, when I was on the commission, I had an eye opener. The biggest loss of our net income of taxes was from one category, lawyers,
Oh,
who figured out by working in Conshohocken, they save on all these taxes versus the city. So they would say they're
right.
working out 2 or 3 days a week. That killed us. $20 million was lost in legal birth taxes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm having a little bit of internet connectivity issues here. I apologize.
Okay.
Give it 1 second. Oh, there. It looks like we're back. So, so sorry about that. And thank you. So we know that, what happens with the commission, regardless of the budget? Is the work of the commission done, or does this continue into the future?
Well, I think the commission wants to continue and help the city with some really good people in the commission. I'll give you, you may know like Victor Garrido, Hispanic Chamber, Jovan Goldstein, former council member and friend of mine, Derek Green, Jennifer Karpchuk, Kinzer Arthur, Ryan Boyer was on it. Uh, Also Paul Levy, Daniel McElhannon, former council member, Greg Siegel, Matt's co-chair, Jerry Sweeney from Brandywine, Richard Vague was a co-chair, Zach Wilcher, and Sade was on it also. So we had some really,
Oh,
really talented people. And we would like to continue if the city would like us to, of course. We have some other ideas in the report. I would suggest we share that report with everybody and maybe put it on the website. But there are other suggestions within the report, but the main ones were how do we oxygen now? We need demand now. We can't allow this to spiral out of control. And I don't want to sound like a naysayer, but this is a really serious issue for the city. We talked about revenue of the city getting all these buildings and all taxes. This is a big issue.
mhm. Um, so does it require council action for the commission to continue, or like is your work sunsetted under the law? How does that work?
I don't think it's sunsetted. I think we could continue. I think that,
Okay.
our goal would be to see more of our recommendations implemented. We have several
Mhm.
suggestions in the report. Be too many to mention today, but the main thrust is how do we develop the cure for the city? How do we create good paying jobs? You know, I say people would say to me all the time, "Hey, we need more affordable housing," and I would always say, the top 25 cities, Andrew, we have the most affordable housing. But of the top
Right.
25 cities, we have the lowest average income. So do we have an income problem or affordable problem? It's really an income
Right.
problem.
That's so helpful. So where can the public learn more? So is the report publicly available? The
Yeah,
full report publicly
I'll give you the
available?
website they can go to. It's
Perfect.
phlcouncil.com/tax reform/.
Perfect. Easy enough. And we will make sure to share that information um, on social, just so everyone has that information. Is there anything else you think it's important for the public to know about this process before we wrap up today?
Well, there is something important that the public should know, and that is I'm a big fan of the Committee of 70 and the work you guys are doing. So appreciate everything, and getting all this information out to the public is huge. So thank you for all you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll make sure to include this information in our newsletter and other resources so we can repurpose all this, because it is so helpful to have someone who's on the commission explaining the work that y'all have done. And we just really appreciate the work that you're doing for the city, and the work that you do for 70 as a board member. So thank you so much for everything.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.